Hello, everyone, and this is going to be your first lesson in your citizenship test prep. For this lesson, it's actually not going to be too focused on on learning anything new. It's more going to be getting used to what this class is going to look like. So for starters, I want to focus on lesson 2 just because that is fully done for you right now. So the start of every lesson, so you're going to go over to classwork, where I am. You're going to scroll down to either the beginning when you're starting or to wherever you left off. And you'll notice, for example, lesson 2, the Constitution. We have 1, 2, 3 things for you to complete, and then there is something extra for you to do. Now, anything that's marked extra is optional, but it's something that I highly recommend. For example, for this lesson, the extra is just looking at the actual Constitution. So extra isn't something you really need to do. It's more just something to look at to enhance your knowledge. So again, for lesson 2, the Constitution, we are going to start with something called an ed puzzle. So I'm going to click here, and you will see some directions right here and a link to click here. So the directions state, click the link, watch the video, answer the questions throughout the video, and then move on to the next step, which would be number 2 down here. So for starters, I'm going to click the link. I'm not going to actually go through this with you, but you'll notice once I start the video, throughout the video, there are these they kind of look like teardrops. And during that, or when you get to that, the video stops and asks you questions about what you learned. So you do have to pay attention to the video. You can't just turn it on and walk away. You need to pay attention, get the information, and answer the questions. So once you are fully done with the ed puzzle, I can close that. And now I'm back here, and it tells me to move on to the next step. So I'm going to click that again to close it and move on to step 2, which is the 100 citizenship test questions. So you should have received a question packet that had all 100 of those citizenship test questions in it. The packet has the questions, the answers, some reading to learn about what you're actually answering, some questions to see what you learned, and a little bit of vocabulary as well. So step 2 of every lesson is going to be to take out that packet. Like it says right here, take out your 100 citizenship test question packet. And for this specific lesson, you're going to complete pages 4 through 10 and page 15. So in all of these, I will tell you both what pages it's on and then what actual questions. So that includes citizenship test questions 1 through 7 and 12. So this specific lesson is a little awkward because, as you see, it is split. The first section is pages 4 to 10, and then you go on to 15. Now, the next lesson, you'll do those in-between questions or pages. So this is, I think, the only one that kind of moves around in the packet. But it does tell you here what pages you're on and what questions you're answering. And then there's additional directions. So on each page, you are going to read read the paragraph, highlight the vocabulary words, write down the definition of the vocabulary words, read the paragraph again, answer the questions, and move on to the next. So actually, I want to show you what this looks like. Let me see if I have it. I do not. I guess I do not have this where I can pull it up right now, what your citizenship questions are going to look like. Actually, let me search this. Okay. So this is what your packet looks like. Obviously, you'll have it printed. So for example, it says pages, let's see, what pages did it say? Pages 4 through 10, so that's for the next section. So page 4. So as you can see, there's directions, the actual question. This question is what you will be asked on the test. So they will ask you specifically, what is the supreme law of the land? And the answer is the Constitution. Again, this paragraph is teaching you a bit about the Constitution, This section has some vocabulary that may be unfamiliar to you, and then there are some additional questions just to see if you were paying attention to the reading. So as you're going through this, again, I'll tell you what pages, what questions, but this is kind of what you're completing as that assignment. So that is step 2. I believe, I'm pretty positive, about I would say 99% positive, that every single lesson has a part 1, which is an ed puzzle, a part 2, which is the questions, and a part 3, which is a quiz. So now moving on to the quiz, I'm going to click here. The directions say, take this quiz once you have completed the video assignment and done pages 4 through 10 and page 15 in the packet. This quiz covers citizenship test questions 1 through 7 and 12. Once complete, move on to lesson 3. So I'm going to click right here, and I am going to complete this quiz. Now, I believe, so what I did to create this quiz is I took the actual question. So as you saw, question 1 was, what is the supreme law of the land? We learned just about that, and we found out it was the Constitution. So this is really just taking the 100 citizenship test questions that you're learning about and then quizzing you on them, which you will revisit them in another date. This is just to see what you learned in the second lesson. So make sure you put your first name, last name, answer the questions. When you're done, you can submit it, and then I will look it over. After every single lesson, you're going to get some feedback from me. If you want that in person, you want to come in and meet, we can do that, or else we can do a Google Meet, or I can just give you feedback in an email. That is something that you will have to kind of decide what you prefer. So again, I finished my quiz. Technically, I am done, but again, I encourage you to do the extra section, which when I click on it, that is just going to allow me to view the Constitution and read more about it if I want to learn more about it. So this is what your lessons are going to look like. Again, I know this is lesson 1, the American government section, but every single thing you're going to learn about is going to be about the American government. So I didn't really want to add anything new here since you're going to learn all of that throughout these lessons. So lesson 1, you get kind of a break. You just have to watch this video, learn how this is going to work. I don't know, I might throw a little quiz in there for you right now. We'll see. But once you complete lesson 1, like I said, then you're able to move on. For each student, I'm only going to release lessons. Like, for example, at the start, I'll release lesson 1, lesson 2 to you. When you're done with those, you will have to contact me, and I will release the next 2 lessons. So we'll keep doing that as you progress. So again, this is kind of what it's going to look like in general. If you have additional questions, please feel free to email me, stop into the classroom, and I can help you get through kind of what this is going to look like.